Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Marvel Zombie crossover video. So, if you've seen, I've done a series of videos seeing how the Marvel Zombies, which is a zombie-side game, follows all the basic rules of it, mixes with the other zombie sides, the Fantasy Black Plague Green Horde, the Western Undead or Alive, Sci-Fi Invader Darksider, or the modern either classic stuff or the second edition. So I thought I'd do just a little bit quicker one. The other ones, if you watched them all, thank you. But they were pretty long. So I wanted to do a little bit quicker one with Massive Darkness / Massive Darkness 2. So they do have crossovers with Massive Darkness with the fantasy zombie side Green Horde and Black Plague. I feel like you bring some of the characters from that into that game in this. So it's made by the same company. The miniatures are about the same size. So I wanted to do kind of a similar thing of looking over, like, could you use any of those components for Marvel Zombie? Now, the first thing is, are these compatible? No, not at all. Like, in general. Like, the other Marvel Zombies plus any of the other zombie side games are fairly compatible because the base rules like line of sight, movement, spawn points, all that stuff stays fairly the same. So each game has a little bit of unique twist to a thing it can do or a different environment. Some of the tiles, like the modern ones, match up with the Marvel modern tiles a little bit better than like the fantasy or the Western do. But like I said in those other videos, you could play them where like the heroes, the Marvel superheroes, whether you're playing as the zombies or playing as the live versions, are going back to the Western past, or going into space, or going to the fantasy time. They're time traveling. Or they could, we went to a movie set, mix and match. Because the gameplay stayed the same, you can move them. And then the characters play a little bit different. Marvel doesn't use item cards, and they have special action points and traits and stuff like that. They have a little bit different mechanics. For like how they collect different abilities to use versus the regular zombie side. You have a deck of cards, you search rooms to find items, you might find a better sword, a better gun, something like that. Massive Darkness is a completely different type of game. It is a full-on dungeon crawler. If you haven't seen my unboxing, you can definitely check that out. There's a lot of different cards in here. But yeah, so you get like each character has like each character has a different class, so you can have, and they each have their own unique, different way of playing. Thieves have like or rogues have like these bags or items in them. Paladins have a special dashboard. Berserker class has a special dashboard. The Shaman gets this class. There's one for the Wizard. Buster's expansion class. So each character already has different stats, how they work. They do different stuff. You can't really just straight up set these guys down like the Marvel Zombies and mix and match them, because a lot of the other stuff changes as well. How the monsters work and stuff, so they have regular spawn points. They have certain different things. They have different mob levels and things change. But there are stuff that can be used, I believe, like in the game. There's like shadow and light zones. We'll look at the boards a little bit here. But yeah, so it plays very different. They have a different setup for how the stuff works. There's a lot of stuff that's similar. So if you've played Zombie Side, you could hop over into Massive Darkness and have a rough idea of how some of the features work. But they have a lot of different ideas because they collect stuff that have different types of levels of dice for rolling attacks and all this other different stuff. But we're going to do is basically, so we're just going to look to see what assets from the Massive Darkness series, so 1 and 2, and they're going to be combined together. I'm not going to for the most part, point out which ones are which. But stuff we could utilize to make Marvel Zombie a different game or add some different elements. So, just as a refresher here, Marvel Zombie tile set basically work like this. You have 9 zones, roughly-ish. Because each zone here is crossed off, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this one actually has 6, 7, 8. So instead of having that broke up into 2, if we look at this one, it has more of the 9 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they do usually have somewhere between it. Some tiles are obviously bigger. Get something like this one where you have your 3 on the outside, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiles, different sizes. They have doorways that go between them. Or you get one like this that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they're roughly broke up into 9 spots. They have symbols on there for the things. And I'm only mentioning there's 9 spots because we're going to look at some Massive Darkness tiles here. Massive Darkness tiles are straight up just broke up into 9 spots. Let me back my camera up a bit. Yeah, they're broke up into 9 tiles. So these might look very, very similar to the Zombicide Black Plague Green Horde tiles with kind of like Z-shaped rooms and different things. But they don't have streets on there, which that one didn't either. So they're very similar. They might link up closer to the fantasy one, which is probably why they get a crossover with them. But yeah, then they have different tiles like this as well. So they might work with that, but again, they don't combine directly with the modern setting. And you also notice the rooms don't have any doors. And this is because you have to actually place door tokens on them. So if they don't have a door token, you can't actually get into them. And that's another thing the fantasy one did as well. They didn't have doors just in the buildings. You had to place doors to make them. But I do like these tiles because you can make some interesting catacombs or tunnels for a Marvel adventure. And so I'm just going to kind of briefly fly through these so you guys can see all the different options we could do. So they do have these lit up areas, and this has to do with gameplay for Massive Darkness. Is your characters do have shadow abilities. They can do stuff in the shadows, but then the monsters are also stronger. So if you bring your monsters into the light, they're a little bit weaker. You can fight them easier, but you also don't get a special ability. It's kind of an interesting mechanic. But you can flip this over. You have some like ruiny stuff, some sacrificing things. We get like some more tiles to go with that. Big four spot room. T-shape. Of course, there's gonna be a lot more like demonic or evil things in there versus Zombicide stuff being broke down. So there's some crystals. Yeah, just some different shapes. So we're just gonna kind of jump through all these. So now with Marvel, the white and the dark aren't going to do you anything special. You could try and incorporate the white, the darkness tiles from the classic, or from like the Invader series, the fantasy series, where like zombies can see through the darkness if you want to play zombies on these. But like your hero characters can't unless they have a light source. Now, Massive Darkness doesn't do that. They don't care that they're dark or not. That has to do with abilities. It's not a line of sight thing. So you could add something in there with that. Now, there's no way to like necessarily give those abilities to another character. You do get this. These are some of the boss tiles. So these kind of can go together to make like big boss rooms. So you get like bigger rooms like this. This has to do with like how some of the bosses play. There's that one. We have this neat one. Like this has to do with one of the boss fights as well. Which is why they don't have like necessarily junctures off into like, oh, that instantly links up to another area. Because this plays out, you just fight a boss in here. But they have different rules for like moving these different ruin tiles. But yeah, if they started adding in Marvel Zombie, if they started adding more, like they do a second season, add some more like dark characters, some of the like seedier people, this could definitely be some interesting stuff. Ghost Rider and things like that. So here's another one that you fight a boss on. You have some time things. Yeah, if we throw some of these tiles together quick, I just want to kind of show how they look linked up. I'm going to move the Avenger tiles out of the way. Just grab a few of these different ones. So yeah, I just randomly threw them together, and now they're kind of like sort of all over the place because like the doors and stuff don't align. and things like that. So you'd have to like kind of like set these up, you know, in a way that they would work better for that. Just trying to see if we had a way to get those to work better. Not necessarily. I mean, you have something like this, your characters have to go like this down through this path, or if you're on the other side, they could come straight down. But then they'd have to, like, if they entered this room here, you'd have this giant room they could go all the way through, because it's all technically one room. Just some different stuff there. It's kind of a neat idea. There's a bunch of different tiles. Some are from the base game, some are from the expansion. So I'm just going to kind of flip through all of these super fast just to see all the different ideas we could do. We have, I should have some more boss type tiles. Big lava pit. This is kind of a neat one. I think you put rocks on the board, tokens that you have to try and then step on so you don't step in the lava. Now things like this could be interesting if you want to have your Marvel characters, if you're fighting, if you want to have them like in the zombie side thing, like, hey, they have to go here and have to defeat like a specific thing. But you'd have to almost create your own rules, rather than just zombie side stuff. So that's why some of these might not work as well. They do have some neat one, like here's the River of Souls, where you fight Charon. So like those kind of combine together, and then there's actually two more of them. So what you build is like a... I don't even know if I can remember how this goes. You build a giant river of souls that your characters have to then kind of travel through. So it ends up being something like that. I don't have these lined up right. But that's alright. But yeah, you create a river, however the heck you do it. That's fine though, I'm not gonna worry about it. But yeah, then like, the boss character actually, like, Charon from the River Styx travels through this river, and then you have to, he attacks things as he goes by on these spots here. Then you have to be trying to stop him before he gets to the end. So it makes like a race out of it, which is kind of a neat idea. Again, this, you know, there's currently not enough, I think, Marvel maybe if the Kickstarter stuff, there might be some extra things I could think of. But like, right off the top of my head, there's not a lot of things that would make a whole lot of sense for that, but you could definitely do some stuff. Then we have some desert tiles. This is for one of the other bosses. Are the other two the same? No, the other two are the other boss tile. So we have two other different sets of boss tiles here. You know, one with a big giant circle in the middle, some different light spots. One that's a desert that has some pools you can get trapped on and you fight a giant scorpion here. But yeah, some different interesting ideas of stuff you could play in. You could fight in different terrains. But again, some of these are set up more because it's Massive Darkness is a dungeon crawling game, versus Marvel Zombie being like a horde type game. Now there is obviously some, there are monsters and stuff you fight. They're called mobs, but they don't work the same way. They have a little bit more stats and stuff. I'm not going to go into all the rules for it, but this is a map I just kind of threw together here, for you're trying to fight up through into the gates of heaven, because in the zombie side, there's one part where you kind of go down into hell, which is why it's called Hellscape. But you actually do have a second campaign mode, which is called Heavenfall, which you have to fight some of the angels and stuff falling angels from heaven. And then this has another interesting side. You can flip these guys over, and they have some staircases on those ones. Some different modes. Staircase might be kind of a fun zombie thing, like you have to track your way through there. It's just like a one-way path. Different options. You can create this giant tree. Try here and see if I have all the different tiles for it. That's like a portal. You fight a boss up on top of one of the trees. They have some more plant tiles. They're fighting, yeah, this like giant tree that goes up into heaven, essentially. So there's some other different tiles like that. Flip all these over. We're going to get some boss tiles. We have some. This is for the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. They each have their own different boss tile. So you have like Pestilence, which you have to play against. War, I believe, which like has like a trail. Like you can't be on the outside, but he runs through there. Pestilence. And then I believe this one's for Death. He has Resurrection Chambers. So again, yeah, I don't know how you actually mix these types of tiles directly. Some like there's lots of boss tiles you directly mix into Marvel Zombies, but there is that. Then we have this. This is a special kind of like Goofy set, which has a Care Bear-esque type character. So we get the Rainbow Road. Has like a river flowing through, which I didn't really set up right. But it starts, like, pours out of here. And if you set it up right, they'll kind of run this river path through the entire map. And then it flips over and it has some other different spots you can do there as well. Plus, they have like a candy zone here at the end you can fight in, kind of more like a bigger boss area. Yeah, sort of different there. I just want to kind of... So, yeah, that's all those. So those are all from Massive Darkness 2. We're going to look at Massive Darkness 1 tiles really quick, and they're kind of... I'm just going to kind of flip through these. I'm not going to lay them all out, because they're a little bit more simple again. You go back to just the dungeon. Like, these ones you could maybe use, again, for, like, Marvel Zombies, like... We're fighting in some sort of catacombs. I could see something like that. So some of these other bigger boss tiles might not work as well because they don't. They're one tile. So unless you made like a game where you had some sort of portal that had like, oh, we have to transfer here. Now we have to fight these abominations or hordes that are all on one tile that can like just come through this area, like. You could do stuff, it's just you have to make up your own rules. That's one thing I was kind of trying not to do in these games is making up brand new like rules or components. I was trying to figure out what can we use we can just add into the game to make it more beneficial or more fun. So those are all the regular like generic dungeon tiles. And then the last ones are from an expansion from the first one, which is Crystal and Lava, which these Crystal and Lava tiles work as light zones for the game, but then they have special things. They do damage dealing or extra things like that. And here's like the lava, like you can't be on the lava at the end of the turn or you take damage. So it makes navigating through the dungeon outside of the doors a little bit harder, especially it'd be like if you open this and then there's a bad guy in there. It's a little bit harder to like be on them. I think the crystals affected your dice roll. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it adds a neat, again, different map set and different element of what you can do with them. Because you could have, oh, we can't travel on this lava or we'll get burned. And the last one of those tiles. Alright, so what we're going to do is take a quick look at some of the different components. Alright, so before we hop into there, I just want to pull some of the miniatures. I kind of like doing this first. I'm not going to go through all the miniatures for this game, but I will show a little bit for some of the variation for the bad guys that could be used, the enemies. But like here we have our representation of seeing what these guys look like on the board. So we got our Marvel characters. We got Hero Hulk and Thor versus Zombies, Scarlet Witch, and Deadpool. And we have some various different other characters here. We have a dwarf or a gnome character with a hammer, a barbarian, ironclad knight, demon, mage. There's so many different types of the Mass of Darkness, including Kickstarter stuff. Yeah, so there's different characters. Again, they're like all the other zombie side stuff. They're about the same size. They're fairly equivalent. Marvels are a little bit bigger. Bases as well. They have something to stand on, but just physically, I think they're just a tad bit bigger. But you can see how they fit in some of these zones. Alright, so we're going to look at some of the components. Now, there's not a lot of components for this game that work. I literally have, so I kind of zoom into this, I have a tub just full of different tokens. But all these tokens are stuff like health tokens, or specific boss character tokens. So if you're playing against, like, the Banshee, she has tokens. You're playing against, the Four Horsemen, they each have different tokens. So it's a lot of stuff like that, or game components. There's stuff like these that are for freezing and fire effects, which, these are all Mass of Darkness stuff. They have more elements than just the zombie side, where it's attack, roll dice to see if you do damage. They have different effects. They have bonuses you can spend. You get health tokens. You have mana tokens to spend on your ability. We do have a slew of different dice. Of all different types of colors. We get red dice, orange dice, black dice. Black dice are enemy dice. They roll for their attacks. Red and orange, there's blues, purples, and greens. Basically, they're different rarities. So essentially, like, one has more defense than the other one. One has, more attack icons than the other one, or more magic. And so different items roll different dice. The higher level items roll better dice or more dice, but the enemies also get effects with those, just kind of neat. So we'll show off some of the stuff I can show off that you could maybe use. We do have these little tokens that are treasure chests. So if we've seen in Magic, the symbols on the back won't mean anything. But if we've seen in the Magic, the Marvel, and the other zombie side games, we have objective tokens. So rather than maybe throwing down an X marks or something like that, you could throw in a little treasure chest your character have to find. If they're dungeon crawling, it makes more sense than like a Stark crate. So your character has to run and find a treasure chest next you're trying to activate for their objective tokens. There's also some shrines you can get, which on the backs, these all have different effects. But that doesn't, they're for healing and stuff, but you could just use them for that. You can also use them as healing shrines as well. That'd be like a neat idea. Throw them out on the board. Character comes across them, they can heal. There are some traps that you put down. There's spike traps. So these are things certain characters can put down or might be on the board. You can try and lure bad guys into, and then ideally you flip them over. It says what they do. There's some different spike traps. Some of them don't do anything. Some just do a wound. Or there's bear traps as well. Same idea. Stops people from losing action. Could also, when you open a doorway, you open an area. These could be in those rooms, and you might suffer them. At one map, I was saying with the boss, I was talking about the dungeon where you have to have boulders. There's these runic symbols on these boulders. Not the best looking boulders, but you kind of get the idea of at least what they are. But that's what these are for. That's the only ones that are like more generic and not directly towards them. Otherwise, yeah, you can get stuff like poison counters, weight counters, soul counters for different bosses. Different summoning ones with different pictures. Even that Care Bear one I was talking about gets one. There's some time counters. Some serpent ones for other different bosses there. A lot of different tokens for that type of stuff. Game tokens, like this is a resurrection token, so you can use this once per game to resurrect your characters. Or they have like starting or special mana points you can get on, summoning points. This is how they use the summoning for this game in certain spots, but you only get like only two or three different ones of those. That's just some of the different. Oh yeah, here's some green ones. Yeah, because what this does is you put down Massive Darkness, you put down like little tokens here. This shows where different bosses or things will summon when they summon. But yeah, so that's all that different stuff. I'm not gonna get too much into all the rest of that. There is also from Massive Darkness 1, they changed it from Massive Darkness 2. You can get these big tiles that have different symbols on, which are objective tokens. Like there's a spike trap, or like a table. There's like a pit of some sort. And some of these just have hazards on the back. But these are different objective tokens you can lay on. Now, these are a little bit thicker plastic. These are from the 3D token set. Or the token pack versus the regular cardboard ones. It's also kind of neat if you get that. You can get these cool plastic health tokens. But I don't think there's enough in one set to cover that. Okay, so that's like your basic tokens. Not a whole lot you can do there, again, without, if you're trying to utilize one of those bosses, then you're going to need your tokens for them. And they can do different stuff. But that's kind of, again, creating brand new rules that the zombie side characters don't have. The zombie sides, even if you're talking an Abomination, who come out, have more health, the Marvel superheroes, whether zombie or not, have like a little bit extra health, maybe like a special ability, like, oh, this guy acts as a spawn point, or this guy makes you reroll hits or something. But there's something you can read on a card that's fairly simple. But the other guys have like a lot different health and different abilities, and we'll kind of take a brief look at some of their cards to kind of show you what I mean and why when I look at the enemies, why they won't work. Another neat thing though is we have bridges. They're just double-sided. So what's neat about these, and this is something I could almost see using if in this type of game, is then what you can do, you can space these tiles out. You can put a bridge between them. And then what this does is it means to go from tiles, these tiles to these tiles, characters have to cross these bridges, which is a neat, different mechanic. Because then you could have like one room, like a boss room or something off to the side. Maybe this is like, you know, you have a boss room where you have like heftier amounts of spawn points or something. Maybe you have to get into that room. As a scenario, you could make something like that. Like you have to get into that room to like shut down the spawn portals or something by attacking them or doing something that way or destroying that doorway, but you have to do it like from in the room. There's actually one mission or quest in this game. You fight these giant cyclopses, but I love the context of the Massive Darkness mission. You have to destroy these pillars, and once you destroy all 4 pillars, like the building collapses. Invader had a similar type mission like that, is it had 2 pillars in the middle of these rooms, and once you destroyed like the one pillar over here, it got rid of the tiles on the left side and shrunk the map from 6 tiles down to 4. If you destroyed the second one, then it destroyed the other 2, brought it down to 2 tiles left. And the idea is, but then it got rid of all the zombies on them tiles, which is a neat concept. You could play something with like that as well. Now, a bonus extra thing on here, so this is not like regular in the game, these are special 3D tiles or tokens and stuff you can get, but I did want to show these off, is you can get these 3D packs for this, which have 3D treasure chests, which are really neat. You can place them down. Now, some of these are from Massive Darkness 1, some are from Massive Darkness 2, different styles and sizes. So like you have like those are kind of like special chests, and then we have like a little bit more of a generic chest there. But that's something I love, the 3D element, and I love if more. It's expensive, but I like the idea of being able to add 3D elements to my games. Just little things like this. Like I don't want 3D rooms, but it makes things stand out. If I have to find a treasure chest, I'd rather look for a little 3D treasure chest or objective. So that'd be cool if like Marvel had done that for like the Stark crate or something like that. But I get why they didn't. So then we were talking about them shrines. So you get these 3D shrines as well. It's definitely really cool. Like, oh, Hulk has to come up and find this shrine and pray to it for some reason. You get a couple of those. I did mention the pillars. Mask of Darkness, the first one, has a I'm going to scooch these back a bit. Can I? Is my tiles all in the way? Yeah, there we go. So Mask of Darkness 1 had a set of 3D pillars, which, like, what's that, like, next to Hulk, or let's put, like, Scarlet Witch next to it. So, yeah, there are pillars, like, you could get to, like, add some of them aesthetics in there, so you could put these pillars on the board, being this, or you could put it in the center, again, like, being like, this is holding up part of that room, like, you destroy this tile, put them in all four corners, it breaks that room, like, maybe you have, like, one turn to escape, you know, so you have to do something like that. There was actually some of the bigger characters, the Cyclops, as I mentioned before, could actually pick these pillars up and throw them at people, or use them as melee weapons, which is also a neat idea. Marvel has the Avengers sign. You know, you can imagine Hulk running over here, ripping a pillar down, and throwing it at the Scarlet Witch, or throwing the statue. These pillars also, I think, when they're in the middle of the room, I don't remember if they blocked line of sight or not. I know you could go around them. But, you know, that could even be, you know, a different aesthetic in there. You know, different things. Mask of Darkness 2 added more pillars, but theirs were more... All of Mask of Darkness 2 stuff was a little bit more gothic-y or horror-y. Just has, like, skulls and things like that, so you can see, like, the differences between them. You have, like, generic-y pillars versus more decorative, and night ones with skulls on the bottom. But yeah, added some neat extra elements. Now I don't have all the stuff from both campaigns. I do have bridges though from Mask of Darkness 2. I wish I had the regular ones from Mask of Darkness 1. They look like regular bridges. These are a little bit more demonic. But again, a 3D bridge between each space is really a cool idea. Now it does limit, you know, it does put a limit to be able to put a bunch of characters on there, but with this game, the mob characters that went out were only usually about 7 characters, 6 mobs, 1 leader, plus 1 character. So it wasn't like Zombicide where you might have 15, 20 characters piling up on 1 token or tile. And then we did have them spawn points, which we do get these neat little 3D spawn points with skeletons. So this could be, yeah, again, if you have a thing special like that, or if you're playing with, like, the Necromancer rules, Necromancers are going to spawn from this particular spot, so, or, it's, again, so, like, have these in, like, certain boss rooms or certain areas that are off to the side, like, you have to literally go destroy these specific ones, because maybe they're summoning extra summons, you can destroy them, which will help you out. You know, different ideas there. The last couple of 3D tokens I have are the bear traps and the spike pits, which we looked at before. So again, these are really cool. So if, like, we opened up this room here, all of a sudden, you know, there's a bear trap in there. So, like, we have to worry about, either we could try and lure a zombie in there to step on it, which could do damage, or we could, or crap, I was in that room, I opened up this room, I stepped right in there to open this. Oh, there's a bear trap in there, I stepped on a bear trap. Could be an interesting mechanic as well. Which then, or if you know it's in there, you see it's in there, you have to debate, can I afford to take a point of damage to try and get through this room, or, like, especially at this map, or do I have to now go all the way back out, go all the way back around, and come around the other side? Maybe you might be like, Hulk can take a point of damage, get rid of the bear trap, right? And then the last 3D mini I have are little anvils. Or forges, which are used for, like, just creating some different items and getting to draw items. But that could also be an interesting idea as well. If you want to utilize even some of the cards from some of these other games, whether it's some of the Zombicide games, you can have the characters have to get to a forest to do something, or they have to bring this equipment to that thing to get, you know, there's just different options you can do with these different aesthetic things to help bring your game to life a little bit more. Sorry, I thought I was done. I have one more thing to show off, which are these 3D doors, which are really fun. So if you have to have your doors, why not have them 3D? And again, you can get these in either version. Some of the Zombicide games also you can get these for. Sci-Fi has some that fold down. Some of the other games have them as well. Fantasy, because they have doors in there. Different types of doors. I love that they open, because this uses the open door close mechanic versus some of the other games where they're destroyed once they're open. But this makes for a really neat idea of like, here's your doors on your board, wherever they are. And you know exactly where your doors are. Like, you can see them, they're not little tiny tokens. And then, like, oh, now we've opened this door. And now instead of having it broken, you just leave it open. Now you know that door can be walked in and out of. And it makes just for that quick look at, be like, hey, I know that this is a door. Again, yeah, Marvel's other Zombicide games added those as well. I just didn't ever, I haven't bought any yet. Otherwise I would have shown them off before. Alright, so that's all I have for that. We're going to hop into some of the different enemies we can fight. Alright, so before I hop into more of the bad guys and stuff, I just kind of want to go over some of the different cards and stuff, so you can kind of see why these guys won't work. So, if you're familiar with Zombicide, which is why you're probably watching this, you know what they have, usually some sort of basic weapon, or if you've been playing regular Zombicide, they have item cards with various weapons on them, which usually have like range, accuracy, like how many dice you roll, how much range it does, how much damage it does. It's pretty simple. Marvel characters have the same thing. They just have a built-in one. And then they have a health meter. So the Massive Darkness characters have a very different thing. They have mana and they have health. And they have a shadow ability, and then they have a basic, they have an attack ability usually of what they can do. So everyone built in. You roll dice, he does extra versus a specific type of character. For this is like a ranger class. We have a bunch of different classes in here. We can get like a paladin in here who gains their player cards. They give them different abilities and different things, but they get like they don't have to play as this class, but they gain basically they're suited to work better for that class. Because she has a thing that says heroes in concentrated zones, which is a paladin special ability. So if she plays a different class, she's basically not going to have access to either of her abilities. So could she play something else? Yes. But she's not going to be nearly as effective. We do have, like, Baldric the Wizard. Again, some of these are actually Zombicide characters from the crossover. Yeah, he has different stuff. If he has equipped, dual-handed magic weapons count as single hands. If they're in the shadow and they roll this shadow dice, they get to do this extra ability. So that's what the shadow abilities are for. I was trying to find a berserker type character. If we had one, like, yeah, so here's our big axe wielding guy we have on the board right now, Bjorn. Yeah, so he can take a wound to roll a yellow die and deal wounds equal to the number of attacks and magic rolled to an enemy in your zone. So we still use the zone mechanic, but he does different stuff. And then what they do is they also work, every class has different abilities. So Zombicide characters don't have classes. Survivors, heroes, that's what they are. You could sort of call that with the Western one, because they have like Gunslinger or like Townspoke and Engineer and stuff, because they have different roles. But all that basically does is give them an extra skill that they start off with. And the same thing sort of the Invaders having Survivor, that even like Fantasy, some characters are magic characters, some aren't, but their skills is kind of fine. Are they a magic character? Are they a ranged shooter? Are they a melee type character? Are they hit and run? Are they a healer? Their skills define their stuff, but they're then set in, that's what they are. You do get a little bit of options with, like, orange, you can pick, like, 1 of 2. Red, you get 1 of 3. If you play long enough, you can come back around in the red zone idea. But these guys get a lot more things. I just kind of want to show brief ones of these, because that way you know, like, why these wouldn't be directly compatible with the Marvel stuff. Now, here would be the interesting thing. You could play these Marvel characters as that. So, like, this is the wheel for a wizard character. So basically what it does is they spend mana. Each turn they have access to one of their spells. And then if they use it, they flip it to the next one. So their spells are constantly rotating. And that's kind of a neat idea. They get stuff there. The Berserker, which is like your fighting class, has access to 3 different classes. So you can, as you take damage, you put health tokens in here for rage. They can spend that rage to do extra stuff. Change your stance to one of these. Whichever one you're in gets you one of these extra abilities. But actually, it expands upon that even more. Is you get little skill cards, which you level up over the course of the game, which get you extra different abilities. These are like higher level spells, but a wizard has like Biting Cold, which requires certain other skill trees. But when you get these as the wizard, you put these on these spots instead. So instead of having just combat, healing, attack, or moving, you can put in Biting Cold. So I can replace my extra movement ability to now, if my counter gets put over here, I can use my Biting Cold spell attack. So what you're doing is you're building your character as the game goes along, and you're adding different stuff. So instead of having, I'm not really worried about attacking with my mage character, I'm going to give Frost Armor, where I can place Frost tokens on heroes to give them extra defense. So you can put these on here, and it adds an extra neat element to these characters leveling up. But it works the same way for different classes and stuff. So we have Berserkers here, which we just looked at as well. You could get Payback, which says this has to go in the Provoke section. So there's his Provoke side. She put this down here, upgrades into that specific ability. So now if you switch to this stance, so he has like an attacking, a movement, and a defense area. But if you switch to the defense one, you can now give him this ability. It's just some extra. So instead of just having extra defense, now he has a special ability for it. They have some that can go in any stance, which actually do different things there. Like healing ones. I was trying to see if we had some other interesting ones here. Like here's one for his Blood Rage, which is attacking. So you can spend one of his tokens to add 1 yellow. So normally if he's in Blood Rage, you can spend one of his Rage tokens to reroll a die. Now you can add a die. So it gives you different things there. But you could see giving Marvel characters, if you wanted to add the Marvel characters into this game, you again have to create a little bit of extra stuff. But you can see Hulk is a Berserker character. Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange are magic characters. Not everyone's gonna fit exactly. There's other different classes like Necromancer. There's not really a Marvel character that falls into Necromancer, but there is ranged. Obviously, the Ranger character would be like Hawkeye, because he actually uses bows. But you might have to like substitute some of the other ones. Otherwise, there's like Tinkerer, there's Bard, which does music. You have to kind of filter in. The mechanic for the rogue is kind of neat. You play these arrow cards, and you keep playing so many, you draw them blindly, but you're trying to hit a specific number. If you get too many arrows on top, you get the perfect amount, you get the white, you get an extra bonus. You stop at a certain point, and you get, I don't remember the exact number, you get the middle one, which does a decent one. So this is 2 attack. This is if you spend a magic, you get 2 attack. If you shoot too many, you have really poor accuracy, and you actually take damage. Same thing, you can get 2 shields, have to pay for it. Defender takes magic. So some different stuff there, or add a yellow, or an orange dice, which orange dice are typically better, but they give you an option. So that's like their idea, but then they get special skill cards you can add, like exploding defense. So for like each arrow reveal, you do defense, it's -1, or a headshot. If you hit the special, the unique one, or the good one, you automatically get to kill a guy, or you could kill a bigger monster. Or this one like lets you do something different for your arrows instead. So there's some different options there, and there's a bunch of classes, bunch of levels. You level them up, you do different things. Makes for a very unique setup. The other thing to kind of show off are some of the item cards. So, like, Zombicide items, again, are very specific. You pick up a gun, it gives you an attack. I just can't seem to grab any of these right now. So, and then I grabbed all the non-weapon cards. I want a weapon card here. Alright, yeah, so we're going to get various weapons in here. So you get these, and it's basically like, instead of having your normal, like, range, like, oh, you have to list how many spots away it can do for range, and you roll dice for accuracy and you do damage. These are pretty much, you roll a die and you do damage. So they're a little bit simpler that way, but they also have special abilities on them. Like a great sword lets you roll 2 dice, but it takes 2 hands. A bone crusher does 1, but has attack 1, you can reroll a die. We have shields, which give you defense. Defense plays a big important. And then there's levels on these cards. These are common treasures. As you get up to the higher rarity, like a rare treasure, they do more damage. Extra effects. You can get all the way up into, like, eventually you could get legendary treasure, like this, specifically for the monk class. Monk Skull Knuckles. In the shadows, you get doing extra ability. But then what's also neat is your enemies you fight get equipment as well. So they have mob items. So they play on them. They actually go below a mob card. So let's take a quick look at one of those. So if we summon these demons, this is a different, again, the zombies, you have walkers, runners, brutes. And that's one reason why these miniatures won't necessarily fit in, because you don't have visual looks that fit into all of them. And we'll kind of see that when we look at them. But, like, if you play the demon card, you summon some demons out. This is how much treasure you get for beating them. That's how much health they have. And this is how much defense they roll when you attack them. Then they have a special ability. But they don't have an attack on there. Because what they do is you draw an item, a mob item card, and you give them this. So now, these demons now have 2 attack with yellow dice. And they have the attack the offender gains -1 shield. But now if you beat them, you get this item used. You get the double sword. What's neat, makes that a really neat idea, is because obviously these items level up as well. But you could have instead drawn the ritual skull. And now they have 1 magic attack instead, which is a ranged attack. So there's, like, swords which are melee 1 to 2, range which hit, like, you know, magic attacks do ranged attacks. Or a slight distance. I think there are actual full-on ranged attacks, if I can find one of the cards with a range symbol, which now I can't, because of course I'm looking for it, right? This is how that goes, isn't it? Yeah, so then you get something like this, like a crossbow. So like if these guys had a crossbow equipped, if they're in melee range, they're going to do 1 yellow dice, or if they're in range, like long range, they'll do 1 there. So you get different items that make the enemies, but you also get to collect them. So that's definitely something that's different than the Zombicide games. And then these guys also have levels as well. So as the game goes up, your enemies get harder. Trying to see if I can grab some of these guys out. Everything's stuck together. That's the other thing that makes this unique. So if you look at some of the ones that are from Zombicide, because they have a crossover. So we have Tainted Abominations and Walkers, which you can bring over into this game. But you can see this is a level 8 to 9. If we go up to a level 10 version, their stats increase. They get more health, they do stuff. Same thing, Deadeye Walkers were from Fantasy Zombicide. They have special abilities. But then as you get to higher levels in the game, as you're kind of like your AP level in Zombicide, where you summon more zombies, instead of summoning more guys, you summon more difficult guys. And they can go all the way up to level 10. So like these starting ones, level 1, have 3 health. You get up to level 10, now they have 9 health. They have 1 defense roll, now they're rolling 3 and 3, which is 6 dice. To make them a lot harder to take out. Spectral Walker, stuff like that. Swarm of Rats. Yeah, so definitely that's kind of neat. So these guys, that's how the mobs kind of work there, for the sake of that. All right, so I'm gonna grab some of the miniatures and we're gonna look at some of those guys. All right. So as we head farther into the video, I guess I lied at the beginning. I thought this would be a little quick video. It's going a little bit longer than I thought it would, but that's all right. Yeah, if you want to stick around, stick around. You don't. That's definitely your choice. Because we haven't even gotten to the big characters yet. So we kind of looked at these cards before. So I just want to show off. With these, one thing is very different. For like using these miniatures as zombies. So if that's the idea you want to do. So you want to fight non-zombie characters and you want to insert these guys. So the two different things is one, each of these cards for the most part show two different monsters out there. There's a left and a right guy. And what it is it's a leader and the minions. For each mob. So each guy's so here we're looking at the Reptosaurians. We actually have them guys. So whoops. I just dropped him. So I like this blowpipe version. But then there's gonna be a leader version, which is I don't have any idea where he is in my thing here, because I didn't grab him ahead of time like I should have. It's not that one. I thought I had this planned. I didn't plan. 1 sec. We're gonna pause again. So each set has a leader, which is a little bit by themselves. So there's only one version of this in the set, and then they have the mob. There's 6 of these. So you only get 7. So six of the miniatures in this. So so to try and just take these guys and add them in to a set, it's probably not going to work very well overall, because if I only have 6 Reptosaurians, and like a base game Walker has, I think, 15 models, I wouldn't necessarily use it. And I only have 1 of these guys, so I could add in give me a total of 7. It wouldn't work 100%. Now, the upside of stuff from Massive Darkness 1 is there are those Reptosaurians, that's the ranged ones, and then there was the melee ones. So I have like 1 of him, and I think this is the leader version. I might be wrong. So you have 7 of these. So you'd have 14 total Reptosaurians. You could use all the Reptosaurians if you use all the different models to represent walkers. Or you could have them come in, you could have any of them represent brutes if you wanted to. Or you could have 1 race be walkers, 1 race be brutes, one race be runners. Or, walkers, runners, brutes. And you could do that for different things. Now, not every single thing here has necessarily 2. So all the stuff from Massive Darkness 1, all the smaller mobs always come in 2 forms. They came in a melee and a ranged form. So these are like the goblins, and then they're each going to have their own respective leader characters, which I don't have any idea. So like, here's the leader for the ranged goblin. I'm not going to show off every single one of them because there's a lot of them. But then there's the goblins you could use, or the orcs. So if you want to have them fight orcs, we have the troglodytes, which are basically barbarian humans. Although he doesn't really have a ranged version. We have the ratmen. So different ratmen, and then we had the gnomes. Again, not necessarily a range, but they have 2 different versions. So again, if you took the from Massive Darkness 1, if you took each different version, like combined versions, you'd have enough to have for walkers. Or you could replace them with one of the others, or have different, if you want to have your characters fight something that aren't zombies. But with of course, obviously going to be a sci-fi setting. But of course, if you're playing as the zombie characters, instead of having them fight shield agents, you could have them fight these guys instead, or mix and match stuff. You could have like shield walkers because maybe you know you have more of them, and then these guys coming in there instead of the big shield guys, they're the brutes. You could do different things there. So we had some. I'm going to show off some of the different ones. You have the Goblin Archers. So then Massive Darkness 2 came out. They kind of changed it up a little bit. And they had a lot more different fantasy races. But they didn't have the ranged melee one. So they didn't have like 2 sets of each. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 different groups, but you had technically 14 different things to fight. And some of these were expansions and stuff like that. The fantasy, or Massive Darkness 2, on the other hand, went a lot more different races and stuff. So, like, showing here, we're gonna have, like, Nagas and Walkers. But they're gonna follow the same rule, but you're only gonna get 7 of each. You have 7 Nagas, small ones, and 7 leaders. Or the Wraiths, you're gonna have 7 small ones and 1 big one. Sorry, 6 and 1. But we're gonna get bunch of different races. So again, these won't be able to be directly used for walkers because you wouldn't have enough. You might be able to replace runners sometimes, but again, if you run out of them, then you have to. But you can always be like, hey, if I run out, I use a different model. But you might want to plan that ahead of time. But we have some like succubuses, some fire effigies. There's a couple of cultists. One expansion has some cupids. I don't even know if I have all of them out, but I'm going to kind of run through each one. We have some gargoyles here. I forgot even what some of these guys are called. We have some skeleton warriors. Jailers of some sort. I forgot what they're actually called. There's one of the spectrals we just saw. There's a insect guy. I forgot what he was called as well. I haven't looked at this. There's one of the Nagas, snake men. We could get like a falling angel you can fight against. A regular angel. An elemental, which is kind of cool. A soulless one, which is like a burnt out husk. A stone warrior. It just looks like a dwarf, but he's actually he's kind of cracks in him. He's made of stone. We have an imp. And a satyr. I might have missed some of these. I was just trying to grab a couple of each box. But yeah, this is base game, expansions, Kickstarter stuff. There's all these different ones here. But there's a bigger variety. But again, to mix them into a Zombicide game, Marvel, or anyone really, you don't have enough to replace each and every single thing. And also kind of show that off. So we do have the cards for some of the Zombicide crossover. So like what they did with these, for like the leaders and that, you took one of the fatties, or the brutes from the original game, as the leader, that's single character, and the walkers were your 6 other ones that spawned with them. So they had 2 different sculpts. Or they did something like this, where they had the Abomination for the tanking Abomination, and then the walkers. So sometimes you use the Abominations for these. And then they also had Spectral Walkers, which they only had only one picture on here, but they actually had 2 different sculpts. So basically the idea was use one sculpt for the leader, and then the other use 6 other ones for the mob. Was the idea. And the only reason they have these broke down for Massive Darkness that way is because you can't attack the leader until you take out the other mob characters. So it's the idea of how that works. So yeah, if you wanted to bring these guys in, though, you're just bringing the Zombicide stuff into this a little bit easier because you have more guys. You just use less of the miniatures. But transferring these over, they can all work as brutes if you want to just have different style brutes. Although brutes are typically supposed to be less slower characters with more health, or runners, but you could easily be this guy's a brute. He looks pretty tough. This guy here is one of my walkers. You could have this guy be a walker, this guy be a walker, and you could just grab them from the pool, and it doesn't matter You know, as long as you have I'm playing like Zombicide. I don't try and figure out which sculpts to grab. I just, oh, here's my box of walkers. I just grab out, how many do I need? I need 6. I grab 6 of them out. So you can use all these guys as just different walkers, being like, instead of it being, you know, trying to remember which one's which, is like, oh, we have all these crazy walkers that come out. Or maybe be like, guys with wings are your runners. You know, flying guys, like this guy's kind of flying. You have some angels and demons. Those are your runners in the game. Sorry, my camera stopped focusing. You know, and then like your brutes are, maybe some of your leader characters can be brutes where you only have 1 or 2 of them. And they have different sculpts. So you usually be able to tell, you know, until you knock them down. But, yeah, it's just, I would kind of just flip through some of these. So we have some of these guys that just look a little bit different. You can see that a little bit bigger sculpts. So there's like one of them soulless ones. He has like kind of like burning wings on. There's your insect one. Your imp. I believe this might actually be a boss. I think I tried to pull all the bosses out of here, but I may have messed up. But yeah, there's the Naga. Has some extra snakes around him. The stone statue. There's the bigger fire elemental. Yeah, so there's a bunch of different stuff there. Here's the cultist, who actually has like a book out, or the spectral lantern. Yeah, so there's some different options there. Alright, so then the next thing we want to look at, and I'm gonna start going through all the bigger characters, which are called roaming mobs, roaming monsters, and then some of them will be bosses as well. And these guys in Massive Darkness work very similar, except they don't get item cards. They have built-in defense, they have built-in health, they have more special abilities. They're your Abomination equivalent to the thing. So when these guys get summoned, you draw one of these cards at random. That's who you play. The Ghoul, the Valkyrie, the Griffin, Amund, which I think, yeah, that was who we saw earlier. So this is like Amund. This is one of the roaming monsters you can use as an Abomination. There's only one. They're a little bit bigger. They're unique. Or we have Archangel Raphael, which I think I might have shown him too. So it's, nope, that's not him. That's the other Archangel. Yeah, I tried to kind of keep these guys separate, and I may have mixed some of them up when I was putting them away. But yes, there's a bunch of different stuff there. Some of these are bosses, like I said before, I mentioned the 4 Horsemen: War, Death, Famine, Plague. I will actually grab the minis, we'll look at them. The other thing I did want to show off here is some of the crossover from Zombicide, as we had, Massive Darkness 1, is we had agents. Like agent characters, these are the necromancers from Black Plague and Green Horde from Zombicide. So they add these guys as rolling monsters, because there's only one of them in each box. They become agent characters. Also, the Abominations got added in here. So you can see how they kind of, obviously they can fit one direction or the other. Alright, so I'm going to pause one more time. I'm going to grab the miniatures and we're going to go through these. It's going to be a little bit longer because there's a lot of them. I'd like to show off each one of them. Alright, so I'm going to kind of fly through these roaming monsters. There's a lot of them. So this is all the stuff from Massive Darkness 1, Massive Darkness 2, as well as both of the Kickstarters, all the expansions, base games, all that. Now, what's fun about these guys is what you can do is, like all the other guys work like the leaders and the mobs, is I was saying how you can mix them into Zombicide, or more specifically Marvel for this fact, because that's what we're doing this video on, is using them as, like again, swapping them out for the walkers or runners or brutes or different levels. You just want to have them all probably be the same so you can keep track of them. These guys, I would probably just recommend having them be Abominations. Now, granted, in Massive Darkness, they all have different special abilities and attacks, and they do different things. Now, without having to create brand new cards or different effects like that, like you'd have to like just add a quick example. We have the Abominable, which is from zombie side. It says so. If there's any heroes within line of sight, he performs an activation as if it was a mob with one action. Otherwise, he moves one zone towards the closest hero. And then he has defense and attack. So like, unless you were gonna like leave these cards laying out and try and incorporate that ability into zombie side, I don't know if it would work very well. So let me grab a different one. So here we have like this mummy, for example, Kunha. So it says that when he spawns, hero discards half their mana rounded up. Okay, so zombie side characters don't have mana, so that wouldn't even work in that. There was a wizard in the dungeon. It's no wizard. But you could always keep the other parts, as otherwise he moves 2 zones towards the closest hero and attacks if possible. So it could be his activation is, if you wanted to leave it out when you're playing as him, if you want to put these cards out for these abominations to give them more than just being a standard, 3 health, 1 damage, 1 move abomination, or even if you gave them more health for some of the bigger ones, you could try and utilize some of these abilities. Hell, he gets to move 2 zones when he attack, and then if he lands somewhere, he gets a free attack. Like, makes him that much more deadly. Like, like, that replaces his regular action. He moves 2, and then he attacks. Otherwise, he just does a normal attack. And there's different things like that you can do for some of these. Like here we have Ogre Rockbreaker. Again, uses specific stuff for that, but he says otherwise he moves 2 zone and attacks if possible. That's a very standard one for a lot of them. These crossover ones, I should say. Let me see if I can find one. So, Rattling Agent from Massive Darkness 1 says at least 1 hero is in his zone. He attacks a hero in that zone. Okay, because that's how their attacks in this game work. Now, zombie side, he would attack anyhow. It says otherwise, he moves 3 zones towards the closest hero and spawns a mob in his zone. Now, this could be an interesting abomination rule you could make. Like, you could take this and change stuff. Now, again, I keep trying to say, I try not to add these things in here being like you have to make your own things or create your own special rules. But you could, if you wanted to, take something like this and say, if he can attack, he attacks. Otherwise, he moves. But when he moves, he gets to move 3 zones. So he gets to move a lot quicker. And that's the spawns in mob. You could have him with the swarm of rats. If you have them, you could just be like, he moves 3 zones, and then he spawns a swarm of rats. Even if it's just 1, and not like a full set of characters. Which a mob in this sense would be the leader and the 6 minions. He'd spawn 7 characters in that zone. If there's that many available. Right? But this would be definitely a thing there of, like, you could have him, like, he spawns rats in play, which would make him a little bit hard. Like, I really need to take him out, otherwise he's going to keep spawning rats every turn. Alright, so we're going to look at a bunch of these quick. These smaller ones you could alternatively use as brutes as well, if you wanted to have the other guys. But you're starting to have too many different models, and that's the whole thing of zombie side. The walkers, runners, and brutes all look, even though they have different sculpts, look different enough that you can just glance at them and tell. And then the abominations, you can see, if you start adding all these different models, they're going to be hard to tell apart. So that's why abominations, these work a little bit better, because there's only 1 of each. But we have like a living armor. We saw the mummy. I don't remember all of these are. This is a Oni, I believe. So you get a little Oni guy. I'm going to kind of just leave these guys up to see that. So this is the Air Elemental. There's an Elemental set. Alright. Zoom out a little bit more just for the placement. But you can kind of see how big they are. We have a werewolf. Which we've had other werewolves in the zombie side games before. We also have this. We have a werecat, or a weretiger, who has armor and a sword. We have some of our different angels that you can fight, which I don't remember which ones these are off the top of my head. A couple different angels in the game. A troll. I don't remember what this guy is, but he has a bunch of blades. I think he's a fallen warrior of some sort. I don't remember what his exact name is. And then we have one of our demons and a harpy. So yeah, there's some different small ones that you could mix in as abominations. Again, you could try and take their cards if you want to take the extra time, make extra little rules and stuff like that. But if not, just place them in there. At least it's something different. If you're getting tired of fighting just zombies, this is an idea. Now we're going to get into a bunch of the bigger characters. So we have Queen Candida? That's not right. It's a insect queen, but you can see how these guys are a lot bigger. We have, of course, another demon agent, a falling demon, or falling angel. He has some broken wings as well. This holy figure, like, just circle in the back is supposed to be, like, transparent, ideally, or clear, like, or like a light. You get a mech angel, so he's got metal wings. I love the size of these guys, like, compared to the Hulk. An archer, holy archer. I don't remember. I'm not even going to try and remember who these guys are or show off the things. This is the brewer. It's a horrible monstrosity. And that's why I think this could be a fun crossover with Marvel, because it could be like, hey, we're heading into this dungeon or thing, and we're having the superheroes have to fight these things. Here's another insect. Set that one down. We have our horsemen. We have Death. Pestilence, I believe. I'm gonna find the other one. There's War. I love they each have a different style horse. And oh, this is Death. The other one of those must have been Famine. This has to be Death. He's an archer. Or maybe this is Famine. I don't remember. Too many different horsemen, right? We have a Griffin. We saw the picture of, but there's the actual model for him. Alright, so I'm going to set these guys off to the side. So these guys are, yeah, definitely bigger than your heroes. You can see where they're going to be intimidating to fight. We have this lion here. I think he's on fire. This is the ghoul who we saw before. He's like a stone mixed with beast. I mean, yeah, look at the size of these guys. This is why I love these. Here's some of the... Here's a rattling guy. Big giant rat. Whoops. And then here's a bone necromancery type guy. Here's our third were character. We had the werebear. Go with our werewolf and our were-tiger. Everyone's favorite, Cerberus, three-headed dog of hell. It's just actually has like neat mechanics for the game, which would be kind of a neat thing to add into the Abomination thing. If you want to play the Abomination characters as bigger things, you could have them be like, utilize these huge fire. Here's a cockatrice. Chromantis, which is the unicorn. We got a big giant troll or brute. There's the banshee. And here's a spider. So spider warning for people that don't like spiders. We have a big giant spider here. It's really cool as well. Alright, we still have some more to go. That's like 2 more boxes of these guys. So there's also another unique thing you can do. I kind of talked about the heroes before. Show off their abilities. Like I say, you could maybe have these roaming cards out to like give these guys so much ability, and maybe I could just try and remember how they work. You could also do a similar thing with the hero characters. If you want Hulk to be your Berserker, grab one of the other characters' cards and be like, oh, it's Bjorn, which is our axe wielder here. Just use his card instead of that for Hulk. Hulk has that guy's abilities. That you're just using those miniatures instead. Otherwise, you're treating them the same way. And it's not that hard, because who cares if the picture is different. I believe this guy's name is Lord Tusk. Look at big giant knives. These guys are going to get a little bit bigger. Here's another armored suit of armor. There's another troll. Get a bunch of trolls here. This, our Rockbreaker Ogre. Actually has like a slab up. No, sorry. This is the Earth Elemental. We have the 4 elementals. We saw the wing. This is our Earth one. This is our Fire one. He's made of fire and metal. Wish he's more fire, but, you take what you can get. And do I have the or the water elemental here? Whoops. This is a really neat sculpt. It's like his chest in there. Yeah, so you can fight the 4 elementals. It should be kind of a neat thing. We do have a Cosmic Horror. I think his name is Overmind? I want to say right? I might be wrong on that. I'm going to set him back here for a sec. Two-headed ogre. Get some more demons. Three-headed demon here. Goat head and horse head on there. This demon of some sort. I don't remember what these guys are all called. I haven't looked at these for a little while. Some of these again are the roaming monsters. Some are bosses, which is kind of neat because I think this guy's a boss. He's smaller than some of the other roaming monsters we'll actually see. That kind of makes him unique in that sense. We have a Minotaur, which of course what fantasy thing would be incomplete without a Minotaur. Another demon. Awesome snake lady. She has 6 arms, or 8 arms, sorry. I love the detail on these guys as well. Another demon summoner. A satire imp, not imp, goat type guy. Really cool. And we have this whatever monstrosity this guy is. I'm going to put these guys back. I got one more for this box, which is our other troll character. So you have a couple different trolls. Yeah, so a bunch of different ideas. So this is kind of neat. You have a lot of different options of different things you want to fight. I still have some more to shop, but they're a lot bigger, so I'm going to have to move the camera a bit. But yeah, that's definitely cool. You got all these different options for things to play as. Alright, so we're going to look at the big guys now. So we have 2 different ogres here, or it's not ogres, cyclopses, which can tag team together. But yeah, Shield Maiden and Rockbreaker. But yeah, these guys, these guys are obviously gonna be like abominations. But the thing is, they're all so big. Here's a elephant, I believe, or Helephant. Yeah, so these, like, the zombie characters go walkers, runners, and brutes. So it's like slow guys, fast guys, big guys. And then the abominations are typically, like, for the most part, until you start getting into some of the Kickstarter stuff, like in the base things and stuff, they're usually just big exaggerated versions, with more health. They're bigger versions of the brutes. So then it's like these guys, though, are all crazy. They're different effects, different stuff. So that's why they're, in Massive Darkness, they're roaming monsters. Like, they come in, they usually either that or they're like a boss. So they're a boss, usually gonna have like one room, or like a couple of tiles, and they have a special. You're fighting them by themselves. Like, you're not usually fighting them with other things around, or they're so there's a scorpion. Here's a Valkyrie. We'll put the Valkyrie next to Thor. Yeah, usually not fighting these guys, like fighting them with like all the other guys on the board. They you have special conditions, special things they're doing. So it's definitely a cool thing. Here's a Mech Angel. Love that huge sword. So yeah, if you're gonna play these in Zombicide, you almost want try and find like what would be like a boss feature, or something they could do to make them stand out. Like again, I don't always want to try and like create new rules for the game, but like yeah, these could definitely be used as abominations, but they seem overkill. Like even some of the bigger ones that they have in the game in the Zombicide games. The bigger models, they are like animals. Like we have the Western one has like the crocodile and the bear, and stuff like that, which are definitely crazy, and intimidating. Oops, I just stabbed the Hulk. But yeah, you can see they're just big giant animals. The other one I can think of that's a big giant one is from fantasy, Black Plague and stuff, Green Horde, where they have the Necromantic Dragon, which actually has special rules. He comes in, he does this, he does certain things. Most of the other big guys don't usually do anything special. Like, you get the Invader one, the sci-fi, and they will have characters. This guy's a big giant like sorcerer. You will get guys that have special effects that do things, but lots of it again, it's just like extra movement or extra this, or they like the Broodmother spawns extra things and then it's done. And then they're treated like regular things, and they're only a little bit bigger than the regular characters. But these guys being as huge as they are, I almost feel like you'd have to make like special rules for them. Otherwise, yeah, you just play these guys and you're like, oh, these guys have 5 hit points. Great. That's, a guy that gets, half the world is twice as big as the Hulk, has just as many hit points as the Hulk, and that's it. Like, you'd almost have to create a special rule for these guys. So there's Hugbear, the Care Bear inspired one. Alright, now we're going to get to some of, like, the interesting boss characters. So I haven't really been talking about the other characters as much because they're all neat, but they're just different. We have Death, big giant tentacle monster, the giant scythe. We have Hades, Lord of the Underworld, which I hope like if we ever get a Mephisto, like the Marvel characters kind of get these like really neat bases. Hope we get a Mephisto that has some crazy base like this rather than just like standing there. We have Charon of the River Styx. Alright, then we have 2 more boss characters to look at. So there's... I just want to get these guys out of the way quick. We have the big demon boss. This is like the end game boss of Massive Darkness. He's like big dragon insect-y tail. He has like wings growing random places, legs, spidery arms. It's just a little bit of everything. And then we have one more, which I could grab. 1 second. We have the dragon. So, yeah, there's a giant dragon we can get. Which is about the size of the Necromantic Dragon. A little bit bigger, I believe. But this is definitely what we could expect if we ever get, like, Fing Fang Foom. Also be interesting to, like, compare these guys to Galactus. Now remember, I'm talking about these big, giant guys. So, like, in Marvel Zombies, we do have some bigger characters. We have the Sentinels, who come in, they have special gameplay rules. We have Red Skull and Thanos, who are also like they're mini size, but they're boss characters. They have special rules that they come out, they have special decks. And then we have huge Galactus, who again has special rules. So it's like, it's not that they don't have like boss type characters that can come in and interrupt the game. Because basically they're meant to like play a regular game, and then you can throw them in there as an extra thing to cause trouble for everybody. And stuff like this would be really neat to do that with. If you had, but you'd always have to, again, create your own type of rules. They don't have an extra deck of cards or anything like that. So now, I did show off, like, the roaming monster cards with the idea of, like, you might be able to keep them out to use that. So, this is an idea of, like, the Dragon Nightmare encounter. So he has like all these different effects he does. Like if he's on this spot, you roll a die, and he does these different effects depending on which symbol he gets. And then he does different stuff. And then he has like this special, we kind of talked about this, is he has the magma zones, and you have the stones you have to walk through. But that's it. But so a typical regular boss card looks like this. Is, again, you roll for their attacks. Depending on which one, they do different things. As the game goes along, their meter will build up if certain things happen, and they get extra bonuses. They have attack, defense. Like they have 25 health versus them other roaming monsters even having like 10, 15. So yeah, a level 3 to 4 out of 10 has 5 health. That's a rat character. Even like you're fighting Death here, he has 8 health, but it's 8 per hero, right? So if you're playing 4 players, it's quite a bit of health. This guy, if you're playing 4 players, has 100 health. Flip this and over, we have Michael on the back. He has some different stuff. He places counters down. So again, this could be something you could try and figure out for zombie side if this would work. You might have to tweak the rules. I almost say if you're going to do it, like create your own thing ahead of time. You have to handwrite the rules down versus trying to look at this and remember how all this stuff works. Yeah, we have all these different bosses. We have like Hades, Charon does different stuff. The Scorpion, you fighting the Horsemen. They actually have a way we can fight all 4 at the same time. Instead of fighting them as roaming monsters, you can fight them each as a set of bosses. And this is a campaign mode versus if you're playing them versus a one-shot. Like just as a one mission. There's that big boss, Baelworth. The Reaper. We have a campaign version of the Reaper or Death. So yeah, here's that dragon. Just like look at his. So if you roll these different things, it says Flame Breath. Place Grundle Arc Gel on the opposing quadrant. All heroes in its adjacent tile take 1 fire damage. Resolve all fire using a red die. So like zombie side, you wouldn't be able to really do that. You could always be like, it's set, you couldn't set them on fire, then roll a die and do 3 damage to them because they only have so much health. Where heroes in this game have more health or more healing options or defense abilities and stuff like that. But like, yeah, this one, of course, that's the campaign mode. So this is the one-shot mode. A little bit probably easier abilities. But it's the same idea. You place him there and he does damage. He has Tail Whip. Place him in the next quadrant. Attacks the hero with the most health or adjacent tiles with 1 die. Or +1. Flaming Paw. Places the opposing quadrant attacks heroes with the most health and the demon inside. So, like, if we looked at the Black Plague, the Necromantic Dragon, he had a thing where he moved around the board, but he always moved from one tile to the next, and he did damage. You could play this guy a very similar idea, is that you could have him moving from tile to tile. Yeah, he could be moving around from different tile to tile on the board, running around, or you could place him in his special zone if you wanted to and have him do stuff there. Yeah, different things you could do with him. definitely different stuff. Like, again, here's the Necromantic Dragon from that game we're just talking about. He has a ground ability. You place him on the central tile and deal wounds to each hero showing on that boss track below. And then Putrid Onslaught, place him in the same zone as the hero with the most health and deal wounds showing as a track below. So as this gets bigger, he does more damage. Aura's Call, he spawns a mob in the special hourglass setting. And then he has his vulnerabilities because he has, kind of tries to mimic how the original one played. These guys have a duel. They actually do different stuff there. It's just kind of neat. I like that they do, like, place the Cyclops in the furthest pillar, and he does damage to it. So some different stuff there. You'd have to create your own rules for these to work in Zombicide if you didn't just want them to be super big, huge things. But you can always bring, the Marvel characters in to Massive Darkness if you want to play as the heroes, or even the zombie version, I guess, whichever one you want. Just have them take place as one of the hero cards. Hawkeye's a ranger. Have them take a ranger card, pick the one with the ability you might like, use that ability. Because there's several different ones, you want character to be a wizard. You might have to, again, play around with some of them, because who could be a necromancer? You could maybe argue Black Panther. He's the king of the dead, right? Otherwise, if you're playing, I was trying to think of some of the other characters from it. There's a lot of characters that are melee, like Wolverine, Berserker, Hulk, Berserker. But you don't want to have 14 Berserkers out. You might need to kind of shoehorn something, who would be a bard character, who would play a musical instrument. Maybe none of them. Maybe you might just not use that role. Or there's a shaman, which can shapeshift into different animals and use elemental spells. You might just have to, hey, who cares? This is fantasy. They're role-playing as these roles. But that's what I have for Massive Darkness, Marvel Zombie crossover. Sorry, I thought it was going to be a short video. It ended up being super long again. But I hope you guys kind of enjoyed seeing what you could add to that. For the most part, it's just adding the miniatures in, maybe using some of the tiles. But I think a lot of it, if you're going to try and combine a non-zombie side game with a zombie side game, you're going to have to make up your own rules. Even though I tried to, again, talk about not having to do that stuff. Alright, if you guys have suggestions for any other videos you'd like to see, checking this, comparing that different game to this game, let me know. I can see what I can do for you. Thanks, bye.